Hi, good morning. Welcome to Bard College. It's 9:30 in the morning here in upstate New York. My name is Greg Armbruster. I'm one of the Associate Directors of Admission here at Bard. And we have some students, some of our tour guides with us today. And we are going to be taking your questions. Hopefully we have the answers. Why don't we introduce ourselves so that you can meet the rest of the crew here. Jake, why don't you lead off?
Hi, I'm Jake Weissman. I'm a junior here at Bard. I'm from Woodstock, New York, which is actually right across the river, so I'm pretty local. I'm studying biology and mathematics, and I'm involved in the Bard Math Circle in the labs here, so I'm our science rep, I guess.
Hey, I'm August. I'm a sophomore. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm majoring in psychology and music. I sing classically. I'm also the captain of the Ultimate Frisbee team, and I'm a PC, which is sort of like Bard's RA.
Hi, I'm Victoria Castiglione. I'm from the Boston area of Massachusetts. I am a junior and I am a literature major who's also on the soccer and lacrosse track teams, not lacrosse. I don't know where I was going with that. And I'm involved in some tutoring programs as well as the SAC, which is the Student Athletic Advisory Committee. That's a little bit about me.
So if you do have questions and you're set up to type them in at your computer, please do. They'll appear on my screen here, and I can ask our panel of expert people what they think about it. In fact, look at this. Our first question: is language a requirement to qualify for the study abroad program? Anybody been studying abroad? Yeah.
I think I answered the question.
You don't have to actually know the language of the country in which you would be studying abroad, although it would probably be more enriching if you did. We have a language immersion program, which is separate from study abroad, where you are in a classroom for a semester or possibly 2 semesters. The language immersion program, and by the way, we teach 12 different languages, is where you take 2 language intensives, either one after the other or both at the same time in the same semester. Then you go abroad with your study group for either the month of January or the first 4 or 5 weeks of the summer to the country where the language is spoken. Travel a bit, see historic site, immerse yourself in the language, and you earn 4 credits for the travel after having earned 8 credits then for the 2 language intensive classes. So no, it's not necessary to know a language before you go and study abroad. And in some cases, the language that's spoken in the classroom is actually English. So if you are at Central European University in Budapest, Hungary, the language is English in the classroom. Although if you're at Smolny College in St. Petersburg, the language in the classroom is Russian. So you would have to be up on your Russian in order to survive. But we have programs of Bard in India, Bard in China, Bard in Japan. We have a new program, Bard in Berlin. The classes there, by the way, are taught in English, but you can study German, French, and I believe Spanish is the 3rd language. So some interesting places where Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan is also one of our campuses, and I believe the languages spoken there, the classroom, it's in English. So if you have other questions, please send them our way. I hope that gives you some idea about the languages here. Now, you are the captain of the Ultimate Frisbee team?
I am.
And are we going Olympic or what?
I guess there was that huge article in Time magazine recently about professional ultimate. We were recognized as a sport by the Olympic Committee, so that's exciting.
And which other schools do we compete against?
Most recently, about 3 weeks ago, we went down to Vassar College when we played in one of their tournaments. Let's see who was there. We played Yale, we played Connecticut College. We almost beat Yale. We lost them by 1 point. That was really exciting. We played Vassar, and we played, who else did we play? Ramapo was the other one from Jersey, I believe. Yeah. And actually this coming weekend we're going back to Marist, and we're going to play a couple of SUNY schools, New Paltz I believe, and we're also going to play Union, Hampshire College, Marist, and a couple other local colleges as well.
And when is the season?
So in the fall we play mixed, so that's men's and women's together, and that's a lot of fun. It's pretty much all year. And then in the spring we split, so we have a men's team and a women's team as well. So yeah, it's pretty much a full year-round thing.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Zoe, you had written to us. I see the rest of your question is beyond also study abroad, but or to be an art history major. No, you don't have to study a particular language to be an art history major. I think the only program where you do have to have a facility with a foreign language is our written arts program. So if you're a writer, poetry, prose, screenwriting, playwriting, novel writing, critical essay, that sort of thing, and you're majoring in the written arts, you would have to have a facility with a foreign language. Where's our science person? Jake,
Yeah.
you're
Biology.
what's biology?
Biology and math. But I'm
Junior
taking
year?
one of them. Yeah.
And what was it like for your moderation? Maybe tell them about.
I can tell you about moderation. So, most colleges, when you want to become a major in a specific field, you write on a piece of paper. I'm a biology major. You hand it to the registrar, and you're that major. At Bard, you have to go through a little bit more of a process. You write a couple of papers about your past and your future, about the classes you've taken, classes you're going to take, steps you've taken towards pursuing this field, and where you're going with it. Then you do a departmental piece, which is, for me, it was like an in-depth analysis of a journal article. And then you basically have an hour-long, very intense advising session with 3 professors that you get to pick. And for me, it was a lot of fun, actually, because I'm trying to combine mathematics and science. I needed a lot of advice from my professors, and we really took an hour to really figure out where I was going in my next 2 years. And it can be scary stepping into a room with 3 professors who are just like going to concentrate on you, but it's also really awesome to know that you're going to like be like the center of 3 professors' attention for an entire hour. So it was kind of cool.
What was the math portion?
The math portion was it wasn't too bad. We had to show proficiency in this typesetting program called LaTeX that is used universally by mathematicians to type up math.
Mm-hmm.
And so they want everyone to know how to do that because they write up their entire senior project in that.
Wow. Okay. And how was your moderation?
For me, it was still like an hour-long session, and I had to hand in a paper I had already written that was about 10 to 12 pages in length. And then we went in and kind of, like he said, intensely studied it, looked at parts that were very strong, parts that were a little bit weaker, where I thought I could improve in my writing skills as a literature major, potentially areas that I wanted to study during the rest of my time, either focusing in on maybe American literature or English literature, which I'm very struggling with right now. And then from there, maybe figure out what I would want to focus on for a senior project, just like that. So really just kind of focus in on how I wanted to finish my time at Bard.
Okay. We just received a question from Perry. I recently talked with an alumni who said the theater department has been completely revamped since he left. Is there anything that has changed significantly in the department over the last couple of years, or for better or for worse? I know we have a new director of the theater program, Gideon Lester, and he has sort of reorganized the program. Anyone have some experience over there in the drama department? Well, Perry, you've gotten us without a drama person, but I can tell you that those who are coming into the program are going to have a chance to do a little bit of directing, of course acting, as well as writing plays. The expansion of the program now to include performance art, as well as non-traditional theater. They have something called Live Arts Bard, or LAB for short, where they bring artists from various disciplines to Bard to be here to work with our students for anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. The author Neil Gaiman was here recently, and then who was the other?
Amanda Palmer.
Amanda Palmer kicked this whole program off this past year. And so our students get a chance to work with performing artists out in the world and get a chance to get feedback on their work. So if you're in the theater program, you're going to be doing a bit of all these things. But I would urge you to write to admission at Bard so that we can send your question along to appropriate faculty to get even more details about it. Let's see, we have another question from Zoe following up here. Let's see. Is it possible to study in more than one field of music? For instance, could I study voice in both jazz and classical? All right, August. That's you.
Yes, you could, potentially. They're pretty facilitating the professors of music, and if you want to be able to do both of those things, they would definitely allow you to do that. I am a classical voice major, so that's my specialty. And I know a lot of kids that do the jazz program and love it as well. And I know a lot of great things about the program, and I've heard awesome things coming out of that program. But I don't know if you want to speak more to what we were talking about yesterday with that other young lady. Remember the conversation we had with her?
Well, and the opportunities for you to study voice, not only classical, jazz, improvisational, scat singing, we have coaches in popular music as well as classical music. If you were interested, you would be focused on the music department program as opposed to the conservatory program. There are two separate offerings here at Bard. Regrettably, I think the conservatory gets a bigger internet presence when you come to our website. The music department has been here for decades and decades, and it's not necessary for you to submit a vocal audition or a portfolio of any kind unless you would like to. And we would welcome any examples of your work, but it is not required to apply to Bard the college. You are applying to the college and not specifically to a particular department. So you would have the opportunity to study both kinds of voice and expand your musical perimeter and also to push yourself to doing new things. Our electronic experimental program, we have a professor who's writing operas in quarter tones. So instead of having 12 notes to the scale, he has 24, and he's teaching singers how to sing in between the white and the black notes. So a very interesting experiment going on with his quarter tone operas. We have another question about studying abroad. When studying abroad, what kinds of things will be experienced? And will it just be like going to another college outside of America with scheduled classes? Or will I actually be able to go out into the environment and be able to gain an experience that cannot be taught in the classroom? I want to study anthropology. Well, studying in college is so different than studying in high school. In high school, you're usually booked from morning till night, with sports, theater, everything else going on after school, so there really isn't time to breathe. So when you finally arrive at college, you're not taking 6 or 7 classes per day over the course of the week. Here at Bard, the average class load is 4 classes per semester. The majority of your time is not spent in the classroom. So studying abroad would be a similar experience. The majority of your time would not be in the classroom. You would be in Berlin or Kyrgyzstan or Budapest or Beijing, and you would be out in the environment, in the culture, experiencing the language. So the focus would be on your classes, but you would be traveling, you know, as you would at any American college, to the surrounding communities and experiencing that. So I would think your experience would include the whole culture and being involved in it. I can't. You guys haven't gone abroad yet, have you? Well, what's the deal? What's the holdup? I mean, you know, you've moderated, right? It's time to go to Kyrgyzstan. You haven't moderated. Have you moderated?
I have
Yeah, see, it's time to go.
And
It seems like the way to go. Is this, by the way, is this computer plugged in? Because I seem to be draining power on this one here. I just want to give a progress note here. Let's go on to Ellie's question. And let's see what we've got here.
You might want to push the charger on the side of the computer.
Oh, okay.
All the way up.
All right, see if that'll bring it up. I don't want to lose power here now that we've got the camera and everything set. Ellie writes, could you elaborate on the common curriculum, particularly on the structure of first-year courses? Wow! All right, who wants to launch into their first-year courses?
And I went.
And L&T.
And L&T, you want to kick it off, August?
Sure, yeah. As a freshman, you're going to get to Bard, if you decide to come here, a little bit earlier than the rest of the upperclassmen, about 3 weeks early. And you're going to partake in what we call L&T, Language and Thinking. It's basically a 3-week introductory course just with the freshmen on campus, all 500 of them. or so. Really getting to know each other, getting to know the campus. They meet every day in classes with visiting professors, around 12 to 15 students in the classroom, reading and writing intensely, lots of different literature, getting to know just sort of what's expected of a Bard student in the classroom. And it's sort of centered around this question, what does it mean to be human in the year 2013, 2014, whatever year you may be a freshman. And it sort of culminates in around a 10-page paper, which is your personal answer to this question, citing the works that you've read and your experiences in LMT, as well as just life experiences. And it's a really awesome sort of introspective way to start your career at Bard, get to know all the kids in your grade. I like to think that by the end of my LMT experience, I got to see at least once everybody who was in my grade, so I knew who was a freshman and who was walking around going through the same things I was. So it's a really awesome way to sort of get to know the college, feel comfortable in this crazy big campus, know where everything is, and know who is a freshman. You make some of your best friends during that time as well. Going on into your actual academic year, you get the class is called First Year Seminar, the common course now. It's called Phi-Sem because everything's abbreviated here at Bard. And basically, you're going to take it with just freshmen. It's going to be a normal class, so meet twice a week with a professor. It could be a music professor, it could be a bio professor. Every professor here at Bard is contractually obligated to teach it at least one semester during their time here. So it's really cool to get those different perspectives on these works. And it's, again, really reading and writing intensive, discussion-based in class. If you're not talking enough, your professor is going to call on you. And you're going to write like 5 to 7 page papers on about every book that you read. Every 1 or 2 books that you read, you're going to write a paper, close reading and analyzing the text, sort of leveling the playing field, getting you, sort of allowing you to really write a killer 5 to 7 page paper, sort of standard college paper by the end of the year. And it's a great way, again, to sort of have this common experience with the rest of the freshmen, being able to discuss these books. First semester, it's going to be more literature, more Western literature based. So you're going to start with Genesis. You're going to do Plato. We did Shakespeare. I think they're doing Confucius this year now. Mm-hmm. And then second semester, it's more philosophy. So Kant, Marx, Nietzsche, Primo Levi, Hannah Arendt, that sort of thing. And you learn a lot of just sort of books that you should read anyway. And you learn how to write a really killer 5 to 7 page paper on that. And then the other main thing as a freshman that you'll do is during your January winter break, you're going to come back a bit early. It's going to sound kind of familiar to the other orientation program that I talked about. It's very similar to LMT, but it's the science version, so it's called Citizen Science, CitSci for short. Again, everything's abbreviated. Basically, you're going to get about 2.5 to 3 weeks of learning how to become a citizen scientist, learning how to be scientifically literate, as Botstein puts it. Really learning what goes on in the lab, how to read and analyze data, reading and analyzing experiments and sort of figuring out the strengths and flaws of other scientists' works. Usually the topic that they discuss mostly is going to be infectious diseases. And it's really interesting. You learn a lot. You talk a lot about vaccinations. You talk a lot about what else? The whole polio scare in the 50s and earlier in the century. And it's a great way to just sort of understand science on a basic level, so that you basically become literate in that field of study. And I, as a non-science person, still had a great time, still learned a lot, and really felt like I benefited from that. So those are the 3 main courses that you'll take as a freshman that are sort of common to that experience. Is that about?
That sounds pretty comprehensive.
Yeah.
Victoria, where do you stand at this point on your distribution requirements?
I have gotten basically all of my distribution requirements fulfilled, thankfully, as that has happened my junior year. The distribution requirements are that you have to have about 40 credits outside of your home major, and you need to kind of touch into every division so that you're getting that true liberal arts experience. You're coming in and you're not going to just focus on, I'm a lit major, I'm only going to take lit classes. No, I'm going to come in, I've had to take a science with a lab, that's actually one I still have to do. I have to do a language, I have to do math, history, so you really do get all across the board. I've taken a religion class, and honestly, I think it's almost more beneficial to you as a student because now you get to kind of take those crazy classes that you think are interesting but you don't necessarily want to major in, and it counts towards your credits for graduation. It's actually beneficial to your education, I guess. So that's really how distribution requirements kind of work. As your time goes on, you'll be taking the classes that you need to do for prerequisites as moderation and towards your actual major, but you'll be able to take courses all across the board in every division and subject that BARD has to offer.
Now, you don't have to do these distribution requirements right away, do you?
No, you can spread them out over all 4 years. I wanted to just get them out of the way quickly, I think, just so I didn't have to have that like looming in the back of my mind. But you can, I know students who've kind of spread it out all 4 years, like a lot will put off maybe the science of the lab because they're more into the philosophy and stuff like that, so they want to take like, not an easier course, but a more geared to non-majors course that is easier for juniors and seniors to get into. So that's something common. People will kind of spread it out over 4 years instead of just coming in right away and taking like all of your distribution requirements. It kind of just depends on how you would like to shape your college experience.
Oh, great, thanks. We have a question, a follow-up from Kelly about financial aid. And Kelly, all of our financial aid is need-based, so when you go to the FAFSA and the profile websites to submit your financial data, that would then be sent directly to our financial aid office, which is separate from the admission office. We accept students need blind. And after you receive, if you are accepted to BARD, you get your acceptance letter. Within a week, you would receive a separate letter from BARD, which would be your financial aid offer. And as I say, our financial aid is need-based. About 65% of our students receive financial aid, and the average amount of aid is a little more than half the total cost to come to BARD. I know this is in conjunction with your study abroad question. If you go to one of BARD's direct partners abroad, then your financial aid situation here at BARD, the aid package that you were receiving, room and board, tuition, that is transferred then to Berlin, for example, or to Budapest, or to Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan, so that you know what your financial arrangement here at BARD in Annandale is, it's the same over there, and that would take care of your expenses for tuition and room and board. Let's go on to another question we have from Miguel. Let's see, Miguel. Okay, here you are. Can you explain the IDP, the Immediate Decision Plan? Did any of the students participate in this? Any of you do IDP? Oh, I missed out. IDP is something that BARD has done for the last 25, 30 years. And they used to take it out on the road, which was very exciting, traveling to different major cities and having students come and then get their decisions right away, which is the purpose of the program. But now it takes place here on campus. It's the 3 weekends prior to Thanksgiving, so it's coming up for us. And I do believe that there are still some spaces open. We can accommodate up to 40 students on each of those 3 weekends prior to Thanksgiving, and it is a Friday or a Saturday, so there are 6 days. You would need to go online to applying to BARD at our website to find out which days are still available. Anyway, all 40 of these students arrive on a particular day. They have submitted their complete application at least a week prior to their arrival, and we split the group up into 2. Each group of 20 goes off with a faculty member to have a class here at BARD. They're not joining an existing class, they are the class. And we have a few conversation starters. Let's see, essays by Plato or Galileo. And for about 45 minutes, an hour, they have a class. And you get a chance to see live, firsthand, what it's like to be in a BARD class. You can jump into the discussion. You can sit back and just listen. It's not assessed. It's not graded. It's just for you to enjoy. And also to look around and see what other kinds of students might be coming to BARD, who might be your classmates. Then come back to the admission office. We interview all of the candidates. It's the only time where we interview a candidate that we have read their file completely prior to the interview, so we know a bit more about you. The committee meets that evening when you're still fresh in our minds, and we make decisions. We send those decisions out the following Monday. So if you are accepted, it's non-binding. You still have until May 1st to make a deposit at BARD. If you are deferred to the regular application pool, you would then receive an admissions decision then at the end of March. It's rare that we actually deny a student at IDP. This is usually a very strong group. BARD is usually at the top of the list. And if you are accepted at IDP, you won't receive your financial aid offer if you are applying for one until the first week in April anyway. So it's just a matter of finding out what our admission decision is early, which, Miguel, it might save you sending out more applications, for example, if BARD is your top choice. And you would know that you're in. It might make your senior year a little bit less stressful. Here is a question from Fan, I think, or Fan. What is the biggest challenge you think the foreign students will be facing? Language or food or the ways of thinking? So all of you guys come in contact with international students. Jake, do you have international students in the science program?
We have quite a few. I mean, they're kind of spread out actually pretty evenly across the fields. I feel like at BARD, just from my own experience. And I feel like language is an initial factor that may be difficult, especially during the language and thinking program because it's such a language-heavy program. There's a lot of help for foreign students during that time, especially if they don't have necessarily the language skills that they don't have like the necessary language skills to get through the program. There's really good tutoring at BARD. There's the Writing Commons, which will constantly help you learn how to write better and read better, and they hold workshops and classes, and they also just have tutors all the time. So that's a really valuable resource, not just to international students, but also to BARD students. I don't think the food is necessarily probably any more of an issue for international students than anyone else. Klein is really good at, they kind of like to make foods from all over the world, and they always have something different, so it's just as new to BARD students most of the time as it is to any international student. So really, I mean, the language is a problem probably at the beginning, but there's a lot of support there for people who are going through that.
I think our food is probably blander than what they're normally used to in some countries, maybe. Yeah.
Depends on the country, probably.
And ways of thinking. I wonder if that, when we have new ways of thinking, a cultural aspect.
My roommate, my freshman year, was actually from Paris, France, and so we kind of joked that there's a little bit of a culture shock on both parts because I learned more about her culture coming in, and she kind of learned a little bit more about the American one. But I took it more as like a learning experience than an actual like something that was daunting or kind of like a wall between. It was more, you get to learn a lot more about other people and where they come from and their different beliefs and opinions, and I took it as something that was more interesting and part of the BARD experience than necessarily something that needs to be overcome. It's kind of more something you want to immerse yourself in.
So to embrace.
Yeah.
Like, it's an adventure.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Fan, it appears that by your name that it may be that you're an Asian student. We have many Asian students on campus, Chinese, Japanese, and certainly they are supporting one another in this huge cultural change from home country to the U.S. So there is a lot of support through those who are already here. In fact, 20% of our population are from almost 60 different countries. So we are pretty cosmopolitan for a small school. We have a question from Perry. Let's see, question for the students. Did you find schoolwork a bit overwhelming your freshman year?
I'd say for me, like, it was more just figuring out how to not manipulate, but work my schedule so that I would know what times I had to do the work I was given. It was more about organizing more so than the actual workload. Because you have a lot more free time in college than you initially think you might. And so it's really easy to procrastinate and just hang out with friends since they're all in the dorm with you and get involved in every single activity. And it's not that you shouldn't be involved in those activities, but it's just time management and organizing and knowing when you have to sit down and do your work and kind of being able to gauge your own work process, I guess, and know how long it'll take you to do certain assignments. And so it's really just kind of doing a good self-analysis and figuring out how that'll help you with the workload that you're given.
August?
That's pretty much what I was gonna say. Yeah.
I'm still overwhelmed with the work, but it's just like it also it depends on what class you're taking. You're going to have certain semesters that are a little bit easier than others, and you're gonna have semesters that drive you crazy, and that's just gonna mean you're gonna be a little crazy for a semester. But it's only 16 weeks, so and it's worth it. So if you like the classes, it's not really work. It's just another game or something.
Okay. Kelly is following up with a question about athletic scholarships. We don't have any specific athletic or artistic scholarships for that matter. We do have something called the Bard College Scholarship, which is a very bland title for monies that the college would like to give a student to recognize achievement in many areas. It could be an athletic achievement. It could be an artistic expertise. You could be an equestrian horse jumping champion. You could be a figure skater. So the college would like to recognize that under this category of Bard College Scholarship. So, but at root, all of our aid is need-based. Let's go on to another question from Maria Anna. And Maria Anna asks, I am a senior at the American Farm School of, this is a name in Greece, Thessalon, I'm not going to try to pronounce it, a private agriculturally focused boarding school, and I want to study environmental sciences. I'm applying to Bard College, so I would like to know more about the life on campus. My question is, what is the quality of student and faculty relationships? Is the faculty interested in and accessible to students after class? What do you think? Who wants to start with this one?
Well, to the last question, is the faculty invested in I guess the question is sort of, do the faculty value one-on-one relationships with students? And the answer is absolutely yes, absolutely. That's part of what Bard Academics is all about, is getting to know the professors in a one-on-one relationship, being able to go to their office hours, sit down, just have a conversation with them. Whether or not it's about even the course that you're studying, whether or not you're struggling with it, just going in and talking to them, they're really all about that. We call our professors by their first names a lot of the times. It's kind of a cool thing at Bard, I think, probably strange to a lot of kids. Absolutely, they're here to be a friend and also to help you through the class, and they really want to get to know you, and they try really hard to get to know each kid in their class on a first name basis, and beyond that as well, to get to know who they are, where they're from, and how they learn. So that's been something that's been so amazing to me about the classroom at Bard, is how welcoming and really deeply involved in the student on a personal level that the professors are.
And you have contact with your professors outside of class?
Oh yeah, all the time. They'll even encourage you to come to office hours, even if you're doing well in class or if you're struggling, because they want to talk to you about the subject that they're teaching. That's the point of having our small, intense classroom sizes. It's about 12 students in each class, and they stay really true to that. As you get into the higher level classes, it'll get even smaller, actually. And so because you have such an intimate little usually discussion-based classes, you talk a lot with your professor even in the class, and so a lot of times that'll spring discussion outside of it, and so they do want to continue those conversations with you, and they're very invested in your ideas, and I think it's really cool to have someone who's considered your superior and they're interested in what you have to say. Mm-hmm. So it kind of boosts your confidence a little bit.
Jake, now we assigned a faculty advisor when you first arrived at Bard, right?
Yes.
Right? Have you changed your faculty advisor since then?
So no, I actually got the perfect advisor for me.
Whoa,
but he retired last year, so I'm in between advisors right now. But one of the first things Bard does, which is really great, is that they assign you an advisor. And then if you get along with that advisor, you can have them for 4 years. And if they're not the right fit for you, you can go to any other faculty member, just ask, can you be my advisor? They sign a little piece of paper, and you don't even have to let your old advisor know that you're dropping them. although it's like a nice thing to do. It's really not a stressful process to train advisors. They're a really good resource to have.
Great. Oh, and by the way, Maria Anna, we do have a Bard farm, and it's an acre and a half, and I'm sure they may expand it this summer. I think they're shopping for a tractor at this point. And they actually grew like 10,000 pounds of vegetables this last season, most of which was served on our tables in the dining commons. So as a person who has experience agriculturally, we would welcome your input and contribution to our farm. And maybe a whole new set of vegetables growing out there. Let's go on to our next question from, we got a follow-up here from Fan. What is the difference between the early decision and the regular decision? Okay, well, we don't have early decision. Early decision is a contractual agreement that you make with a college, and if they accept you, you agree to go. We are early action, which is an early way to apply by November 1st. We'll let you know our admission decision by mid-December. But you won't receive a financial aid offer if you are applying for aid until the first week in April, and then you have until May 1st to make a deposit. So really the difference between early action and regular action is the deadline. Early action is November 1st. We let you know by mid-December. Regular action or regular decision, you apply by January 1st. We let you know by April 1st. Let's go to Connor. Connor's question is, I'm very interested in applying to BARD as a transfer student, and I was wondering what sorts of things I need to do in order to be competitive and also if my credits will transfer. Well, Connor, you come to the right person. They're laughing because I am the transfer coordinator and I would be reading your application, and you are welcome to email me or admission@bard.edu, and I'll be able to answer individual questions. But in general, you have to have completed at least a year's worth of college in order to apply for either the fall or the spring term. We don't take mid-year first-year transfers because of our very comprehensive first-year program that August described a little earlier. You don't need to take any specific classes in order to transfer. We're not looking for a list of things that you've had in advance in order to accept you. We hope that you have done well in your college experience and that indeed you can do college level work, which is what we try to fathom when we look at first year students, and they haven't actually taken any college level classes yet for the most part. And finally, as far as credits transferring, if you take a class that's similar to one taught at BARD and you get a C or better in the class, those credits will transfer. If you are on a semester system and you take the credits for if you take the class for 3 credits, all 3 credits would transfer. If you're on a quarter system, we offer you 2/3 of the total number of transferable credits. Okay, so depending upon your situation, please email admission@bard.edu, ask for Greg, and I would be happy to answer your individual transfer questions. Let's go on to Zoe. Zoe says, do AP scores carry over for college credit? Well, if you get a 5 on the test, they do, and we will give you college credit. 4 credits for each test that you get a 5 on, up to a maximum of 32 credits. So if you've done phenomenally well, it could be that you would have a year's worth of college credits coming into BARD. You would still be a first-year student, but designated a first year with advanced standing. So let's go to Miguel, and Miguel asks, are first-year transfer students allowed to participate in the IDP program? Well, first-year transfer students are not allowed to apply to BARD. Unless you come in the fall, let me qualify that. So if you are currently a first year and you are desiring to transfer, and you've been at your college only a few months now, transfers are not allowed to participate in IDP. It's only for first-year students. Let's go to Moise, who asks, should we consider BARD College for engineering? Can we ask our science person about our engineering?
So we actually have a couple 3Q programs. So we have a program with Columbia where you do 3 years at BARD, and then you do 2 years at Columbia, and you get a degree at BARD, and you get an engineering degree at Columbia. And that program has automatic acceptance. I think if you have a certain GPA, which is 3.6?
3.3.
3.3. So if you have a 3.3, you're automatically accepted. We also have a 2.111 program with Dartmouth, which does not have the automatic acceptance as far as I know, but it's a similar sort of program where you do 2 years at Bard, 1 at Dartmouth, 1 at Bard, 1 at Dartmouth, 1 at Bard, I'm not sure.
Back and forth.
Yeah, you're going back and forth. So, while the engineering program isn't specifically at Bard, we have physics and math and chemistry and biology, and you take some of those classes while you're at Bard and major in one of those fields here. Or, I mean, I actually know someone who's majoring in philosophy at Bard, but is going to be doing engineering at Columbia, and he's writing his philosophy senior project right now. And so, you don't necessarily, you could actually major in something else as long as you're taking certain required courses for the program.
And Moise follows up with what types of financial aid opportunities are available for international students. We have financial aid for international students just as we have for domestic students. We have a couple of specific financial aid scholarships. One would be in the sciences or math, our Distinguished Science Scholarship. International students are eligible for that just as domestic students are. The Levy Economics Scholarship, again, both international and domestic students are eligible. We also have, that's a scholarship program just for U.S. students. That's our Excellence in Equal Cost Scholarship. So really the Levy and the Distinguished Science Scholarship are the two that international students would be eligible for. But at Root, again, as I say, all of our financial aid is need-based. We do take, for international students, you must submit a declaration of finances in order to complete your application to BARD. So it is important that you have resources as well. We have a question from Esteban, which is, I am interested in doing the 3-2 program at BARD. Are there any specific requirements that I need to have to be a part of the program that involves the admission process? There's nothing specifically during the admission process that you would need to satisfy. Just apply to the college, and once you get here, start taking science or math classes, maintain a 3.3 GPA, and then work with your advisor who is in the sciences, who can prepare you then for the 3-2 program. We have a question from Ellie. And let's see, Ellie writes, can you get college credits for IB courses? Yes, you can, Ellie. If you get a 5, 6, or 7 on an IB test, we will give you college credits. If the class is a high-level class, we will give you 8 credits. If it's a standard level class, we will give you 4 credits, up to a total of 32 credits, or 1 year's worth. Now, something that you should know about the IB credits, they don't actually appear on your transcript until you moderate into your major field of study. So if you came with 32 IB credits, you wouldn't see them on your transcript for the first 2 years. And then once you moderate and you receive your first grade report at the end of your first semester of your junior year, suddenly there would be all of these 32 credits. It is possible, if all your ducks are in a row, for you to actually skip a year at BARD and move directly to your senior project in what would be your junior year if in fact you have 32 IB credits tucked away in your pocket. Now, you'd still have to satisfy distribution requirements, the program requirements that Victoria talked about earlier, but those credits could come in handy as you move into your junior year. Let's see if we have other questions at this point. We're still waiting for a few to come in, so August talked about his first year experience, sort of laid out what it's what it entails, FISM and citizen science and language and thinking workshop. During that first 3 weeks when you arrived, any memorable anecdote?
This is a sort of random one, but a lot of the time, like during the program, it's not just doing the work you give. They do a lot of outside activities to make sure that the students, like he said, you're getting to meet all your classmates and everything like that. And so one of the nights we did capture the flag, glow in the dark, capture the flag, and I don't know why I always say that backwards. And we had so many kids there, and everyone was really into it. And they started doing the strategies where they'd hide on the ground, and, like, cover up their glow sticks, and like do like little landmines, and just like someone thinks that they have a clear path, and it just got really intense. But I just remember being like a really fun. One of the first experiences I had, just meeting a ton of kids that were going to be in my grade for the next 4 years, and all just having fun for this silly game of capture the flag. And they do a lot of things like that during LNT to make sure that you're meeting everyone. They do like a Rocky Horror Picture showing, and everyone gets dressed up for it. I think they do that every year. And so they always are doing things like that. And so those are parts that are memories that have always stuck with me. Like I said, I'm a junior now, and I still vividly remember that glow in the dark capture the flag night.
Something that happened to you, for you in that first 3 weeks?
That first 3 weeks was kind of a rush. There was so much happening. But, I don't know. It was just it was fun, kind of being in this class to start out, where you have like 15 people who you see every day, all day. You get really close to them, and some of them are going to be maybe living in your dorm, so you'll see them. But also, like, because you're going to get to know everyone in your dorm, it's kind of nice to have this other set of people that will like let you meet all these other people on campus, and it was really great. I mean, you just kind of meet like at least 200 people in your first week, and it's just like, whoa, but it's a lot of fun.
And for you, do you have one?
Yeah, I mean, I think just something that I took away from it is that I'm still really good friends with most of the kids in my L&T class. That bond that you form in that class is not like any other sort of academic setting. It's a sort of really intense classroom setting that becomes really intimate, and you get to know these kids so well. And it's really hard to say goodbye to them at the end of the 3 weeks. I remember we went down the last day with my teacher to Blythewood, and it was this gorgeous August afternoon, and we just sat there and wrote like really nice comments to each other and passed them around. And it was just the best feeling in the world, and that really sort of solidified that bond that we'd had throughout those 3 weeks. So, I mean, I'm still really good friends, and I still hang out with a lot of those kids, so that was really valuable.
One thing I also remembered from mine is they were doing Klein renovations my freshman year, so we actually were eating in the graduation, where will be the graduation tent out on the field right next to the Klein Commons, and it was just kind of a really nice bonding experience. We're all joking like, oh, we're taking this almost like summer course and eating in a tent, like this is like a summer campy kind of experience. But for me as a Bard student, I think it'll be really interesting that not only will I start my time in that Klein tent, but I'll finish my time there when I graduate in that tent. So that's just one kind of like full circle moment for me at Bard. But I think everyone kind of has their own that they'll eventually find. But I always like to tell people that.
I think for a while, we were the only college in the country that had tent dining. You know, it's like, come to our dining tent.
Right.
Yeah, actually, the thing is, I forget that freshmen don't do that every year. That was just like a one-time thing. So I like go to see something, I'm like, oh wait, that didn't happen for them. They have no idea what I'm talking about. And there's one really air-conditioned part that everyone would like fight to get into. It was an experience, but a great one.
And Ellie follows up with, is there any particular tradition at Bard that you find defining of the school?
Well, I mean, we've been talking about L&T. Maybe that's a more sort of academic one, but again, I still think that really defines not only like who you are as a Bard student, but a lot of who you become friends with and who you begin to see yourself identifying with. So that is an awesome tradition.
Also, as like social traditions, we have certain things that happen each year that are like everyone goes to. So we have a circus on campus that'll teach you how to breathe fire and trickle fire. And they put on a show with hundreds of people at the end of every year. We have the International Students Organization, which puts on a giant like show, sometimes a couple times a year. So there's certain events that everyone knows, like, go to this event. It's always a great time as well.
In Spring Fling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to say, it's a lot of bands playing. Like,
Yeah.
Like 24 hours or something? They go all night?
Yeah.
Jeez. Zoe follows up, are there internship opportunities in Annandale and Hudson, or are they only offered in Manhattan? Are there internships here on campus, around in the community?
I would say there's probably specific internship opportunities, but I know that a lot of professors will ask students to do research projects with them over the summer.
Mhm.
One of my roommates actually this year stayed and did I think about 8 weeks of research with one of her math professors and got paid, and it was essentially like an internship. So you can find some definitely within the college that you can go to just based off professors or your advisors and things like that.
And sometimes internship and/or work study. We have a lot of work study positions on campus. Sometimes those two things seem to be interchangeable. So it is an opportunity to do something with faculty or do something in the area, to be a part of community services. But just to let you know, BARD has partnered now with 22 other colleges in the Northeast, and this is as a result of our Career Development Office. And all 22 colleges, we've agreed to share all of our internship opportunities so that you can search not only on internship possibilities here at BARD, but those that are also being offered at one of these 21 other colleges. And those could be internships during the summer, during the school year, locally, statewide. It could be an international internship. It could be one where you're earning credit or you're earning money. So you can search on the specific kind of internship that you would like to do and when you would like to do it, and take advantage of all the opportunities that a total of 22 colleges has to give. So it's a good way to search and find just the right internship for you. Esteban comes back and says, does taking a semester during college to study abroad, studying a subject outside of the intended major, affect a student's ability to be or complete in the 3-2 program? Well, no, it doesn't, but it could stretch the time for the 3-2 program. It could now be a 3 and a 2.5 program. So it's possible any BARD student can take a semester off, essentially, and then go study abroad in some other program. But it will add time then to the total amount of semesters that you would be here at BARD. But it's certainly within the realm of possibility. Let's see. It seems like BARD is pretty tucked away and hard to get to. What's the community like off campus?
I mean, BARD, it's kind of a misconception, I would say. We have shuttles that run to Reddick and Tivoli, which are our 2 college towns. We have the ability to get to New York City very easily, either by train or bus from around here. And additionally, we have a really kind of vibrant on-campus community. I think we've talked about that a little bit, but there's a lot of stuff going on campus, and it's a big campus. We're on almost 600 acres, so there's a whole lot.
How many acres?
Almost 600.
Almost 600, yeah.
Yeah.
I heard, 550 or something the other day. I finally read it. The exact
I know.
number. It's like, well, a lot. I keep thinking, well, if all BARD students spread out like molecules in a gas, it's like 3.1 student per acre floating out in space. We have a question. Moise follows up with, does BARD College have study abroad programs? Yes, we do. And you should come check out our website and see all of the locations where you can study abroad and still be connected to BARD College. So do check out our website and our study abroad programs. We're kind of getting toward the end of our session, so I want to quickly make sure that I answer all questions here, if possible. Maria Anna comes back as an international student. I would also like to know if it is possible for me to arrange a Skype interview with an assistant for international enrollment so that you may get to know me a little better. Absolutely, we do Skype interviews. Go ahead and email admission@bard.edu and make your request for a Skype interview. One of our admissions counselors will be emailing you back to set up a time and a date for that interview. Let's go on to Connor, who asks, in order to major in a language, are you required to study abroad, or do the language intensives work in the same way? If you major in a language, you're also majoring in the culture, the history, the literature, the philosophy that surrounds that language. In other words, if you're doing Asian studies, for example, you would not only be focusing on a language like Chinese or Japanese, but you would be doing something with the literature, with the philosophy, with the history, with the politics of Asia. So it's the same with Iberian studies, the same with Russian studies. If you're majoring in a language, that is the way that you would form that. Now, you don't have to go abroad to that country if you're majoring in a particular language. So that is a choice that I would think you would want to make, but it's not required. And let's see, I think we've come to the end of our questions. Any last thoughts from our students? Anything you want to let our students out on the internet know?
You can go. I
I would just say I would encourage those who can to actually come and visit BARD. And if you do, also come and meet the students, sit in on classes. And that goes for any college that you're applying to, I think. If you really want to be able to get to know the college on a personal level. And BARD is a really unique place that you can't really fully understand. You can't really fully appreciate until you do, get involved, which is what BARD is all about. You really have to go and meet the kids, take classes, and just become part of the community for a little bit. So definitely, please come, and we'll give you tours and we'll talk to you. But yeah, that's my advice for all of you, and good luck in the process of applying to colleges.
Victoria, what would you add?
Oh, that was basically what I was going to say, is that you, in general, any school that you're applying to, you can't really understand the real atmosphere of it and the actual student body and the experience that you'll actually get unless you come to the school. Just to even get a lay of the land and just see the kind of students that inhabit it. I always really encourage people to come and check it out. And if you're international, I mean, that's a little bit different, but
It does make it a little bit tougher. I think we should
Yeah.
we should enhance Skype interviews and actually let you take a camera around.
right, yeah, we'll just walk, like, you'll have the tour guides while they're walking backwards just having a little camera on their head as they're going.
So, but I guess you'd have to have it at the back of your head because
Oh,
you're
that's
talking
right.
to
That's
one group,
true.
you're walking backwards and then you're filming in
No way,
front.
They'll
It's,
get to see if you're about to walk into something too.
maybe someday they'll have Google campus tours, which would be cool.
Seriously.
So, Jake, any last words for our students out there?
You're probably going to be looking at a lot of colleges, and it's important to look at the dining hall and the facilities and things like that, but also make sure to read all about their curriculum and what they are making you do to graduate, because it's also important to, the most important thing that's going to define your college experience is just to really know what classes you're going to have to take.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys make sure to point out the bulletin boards? as
Oh,
you
I
walk
always
through
do. Because there's tons of things always being advertised about what's going on. If you think you have an open night, you can find 17 different things on campus that are happening. Lectures or performances, things like that. So there's always something that you can find to do.
And bands. There are a lot of
Oh,
bands
yeah.
on campus.
Yeah,
And then they had something going on athletics last night. As I walked out of the office, I heard the announcer going through the.
Oh
Was
yeah.
that a soccer?
They had the girls and boys Red Hook High School team playing on the field yesterday.
Oh, okay. So, which also lets you know that we are really hand in hand with our community here. Our local high school students are able to take classes here, and as well as community members who are part of our symphonic chorus, who are able to take language classes if they're headed back to their home country, maybe wanted to brush up on a language. So it's really a community-wide organization that BARD fosters, so that our students who may be living in Tivoli or Red Hook, and approximately 400 of them do, and take advantage of our shuttle system in order to get to and from campus, that we have good relations with the surrounding towns. We aren't totally off the map and isolated. Just across the Kingston Bridge is the city of Kingston, which is about 25,000 population, huge mall, chain motels, all the usual stuff. So we're not completely and totally isolated. But if you can visit, we certainly invite you to do so. And international students, if you have questions, please contact our website specifically for international students, and I believe that is intdec@bard.edu, so we can get right on your questions. I think we're pretty much at the end of our session. We're having another one this evening, so if any of your friends and those who have joined in with us and would like to let others know, we're going to do this again tonight starting at 7 o'clock. and that's Eastern Daylight Time. Are we still on Eastern Daylight Time? It's a toss-up. Eastern Standard, Eastern Daylight. I've never figured this out. So, 7 o'clock in New York State. If you would like to tune us back in, please do. But otherwise, thank you for joining us, and good luck with your college search.
Thank you guys.
And we end.